In the meantime, I will call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. So we'll start with the Lyme Senior Center.
I think we have people here to discuss the Parks and Rec issue under other business. I wonder if we move that up.
Would you like to?
Can I make a motion
to
move that up on the agenda?
Absolutely. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Aye. Motion carries. All right, so Kim, is that business?
It's under other business.
Is that what you want to move up?
Yep.
Okay.
This is the sidewalk deal, right?
Yep.
Okay. I did circulate.
Bob
got what I
there was no attachment.
The attachments never made it through.
Yeah. The email just referenced attachments and there weren't attachments.
Oh, I apologize for that. So the attachments were simply the instruction of the grantor for the grant that we received.
So from Steve, nothing specific to Haynes Park, just...
It's from Steve that was required, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can summarize what Bob Dunn said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob Dunn appeared before the Board of Selectmen about this matter, and in accordance with the Steve grant, the center should have handicap parking with handicap accessibility.
Thank you. Pass it around.
So, because the spots are closer to the restroom building, the the sidewalk goes by the basketball court and terminates at what are these pavers, I call them. These are the concrete things you can put in grass, and the grass grows through them, and they support larger vehicles. And they also allow water to penetrate down through. So the sidewalk goes probably a couple of feet, 3 feet short of that, because there's a drainage problem that also needs to be addressed from Route 1 coming into the park. But so the sidewalk gets one to add more pavers or add another panel. You could get the sidewalk to butt up to these pavers, and then they take you over to the concrete area at the senior center, as I understand it. But Bob said that he was working with Phil Arkak, who is the facilities guy, and due to the requirement, he was given confidence from Phil that this job could be done and money would be available, which it wasn't. And of course, the project was concluded pretty much, but this wasn't as part of the money. There was actually remaining money, which was used to help on the financing of the restroom building. So NACDIC installed it, and so this $11,000 is an invoice that needs to be dealt with. In conjunction with this, they were also talking at the edge of Route 1, where you leave the park with the boat trailer, let's say. There's a second entrance, apart from the one further east. There's the ramp that comes in, but the ramp was not properly done. And I think it allows water to go, if you're looking up toward Route 1, go to the left. It's supposed to direct it to the center, and then I think it would come down, ideally, down these pavers, I guess, or the driveway, and go over the pavers and make its way to the lake. But I think because of a poor design, it goes to the left, closer to the restroom building, and then was putting mud on the basketball courts, and I guess there was some ditching to direct the water, and that's why the walk stops a little bit shy of the pavers, is what Bob indicated. So it would be helpful to fix the ramp. They did get quotes to do that from Anton, I guess, was it a couple of years ago?
2019. $3,300.
Yeah, about $3,300 to do that. So that has not been performed, and we don't have a fresh quote for that, but that's the second part of it that probably should be corrected ultimately. When we were here before, Nicole identified a town clerk source of money that feeds a public building account. So she said that that account could be a way to finance the $11,000. And seems like we're going to have to get some fresh information as to what has to happen with this ramp so that the water. But we need to make sure once the ramp is channeled properly that it all works, coming down these pavers and so forth toward the lake. So, do you have anything more to say about that?
Well, I strongly suggest we get an engineer who actually do it correctly. And DOT is responsible for the apron from Boston Post Road into Kings Park. And if we contact DOT, and Tim said he would, that they should come, look at the problem, Bob wants to be there, Tim to be there, and explain what needs to be, we feel the issue is, and see what their engineers come up with as a solution. But Matt, he's on the well and said, DOT is responsible for that apron, and they should come and fix it if it's an issue.
Well, I would say that if the road is low where the apron is and they don't have drainage for it, it might be their responsibility. If it's a curb cut and we make the, we need the ramp. I think normally in town here when we do a curb cut, the person doing a curb cut is supposed to put the apron in. But if the road is low there and there's no proper drainage, we might be able to have them do something to help us out with it. Normally you'd have a lip, maybe inch and a half lip, bituminous where the ramp is, and then the casual water would keep going. But we don't know the dynamics. But we can get the DOT out there to look at it.
So we got two items, though.
Well, I think we can do the $11,000, and
right.
We can do more research on the second thing to see about what is needed and who's going to pay it and all that stuff.
And so the second thing is new tonight.
But the Anton thing is not happening. That's not happening. We understand he has to go back to a bid and he has to come back to the Board of Selectmen for an approval on that.
Yeah, well, that's just additional information.
And it's $9,900, I think, is the total bill.
So that's a separate and a part item from what we were talking about our last meeting 2 weeks ago.
$9,900 is the sidewalk.
Yeah.
The other part of the original quote was for the pavilion pack. He will have to go out and get a new quote for that when he's ready to put the pavilion up, which he doesn't want to do until the campers are installed.
Wait, so that's a third thing. Because what we were talking about 2 weeks ago was just, hey, this sidewalk showed up. We need $11,000 from somewhere, right? So that was the first thing that I remember. We touched upon the pavilion a tiny bit.
Yeah.
I remember the word pavilion. And then we've got a new thing in terms of drainage that could come up. So if I could, right, we've got the $11,000 that was put in place, and people were questioning, hey, how did this happen outside of a scope? Was it in the scope? That sort of thing. And so I apologize for not having forwarded. I didn't know that the attachments didn't come.
I think my concern, just reading what he's highlighted there, is that it says something along the lines of within the scope of the project. And so if this sidewalk and the area around the basketball court was not a part of the project, like I don't see this as an argument justifying putting it in.
So that's the ADA requirement.
That's the ADA requirement, right?
Which is, seems to be a second issue.
Right.
The core issue is what David just articulated, whether the sidewalk was approved by the town, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance as part of the project. And if it wasn't approved by us, what do we do about that? Now, whether or not it's necessary as a matter of ADA compliance
Right.
is sort of a secondary issue.
It wasn't approved, and he acknowledged that at our meeting. It wasn't approved, he thought, because Phil said, well, since it's a town park, the town will pay for it. And that's all we went on.
Well, now, we were delivered documents that, and I believe if you have a state project, it needs to comply with everything, right?
So I contacted the state, David, and
Yeah.
that was closed out in 2018, paid for completely because the project was done to the scope of the project. And the ADA, the only ADA accessibility was to the building, and that was in place, and that's why they signed off and sent us a check for $400,000.
So then Bob talks to Phil, and Phil says we should do this, right? So,
Well-
I mean, at some point, like, human error comes into play here, it sounds like, right? And Phil is gone. Bob was like, Phil told me to do it, so...
And so I think that, again, they're two separate issues. Do we have to pay the invoice? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
We got the benefit of the work, a vendor in good faith performed the work, town has to pay.
And it's now super ADA compliant.
I
But
mean,
maybe not. The real issue, which occurs from time to
It's even
time,
less ADA compliant.
It's not compliant because of the fact that it doesn't go to the hardscape yet. Because when Macnick went to put the sidewalk in, he could not do the entire length of the sidewalk. I think it's 113 feet at the present time. But it is not all the way to the other driveway because they ran into tree roots. They weren't sure what the which trees the roots went to. They didn't want to do something to harm the trees.
Yeah.
Not sure where to start. And Mr. Macnick suggested that they put the hexagonal
That allows it to
drain.
drain,
That could be a solution, but he would have to come back and do more work after some more analysis, and they didn't want to do that until they fixed the drainage issue from the street.
So the sidewalk didn't have to happen, it sounds like, right? That's why I say it's super ADA compliant, but, you know, maybe it's not. So the sidewalk went in, Phil said, yes, let's do the sidewalk. Is that right? So to attribute, you know, responsibility, it sounds like Phil said we should do this. Bob Dunn was the chair. He said we should do this. He called Macnick. We did it. It turns out we didn't have to do it. So
I don't know.
the work... But I'm just in attributing blame. I am not interested in tonight. What I think we should do is the work was done. We are the Board of Finance. I would leave everything else to the Board of Selectmen. We have $11,000 that we owe. Where does it come from? Do we even need to decide? Because I thought that in the last meeting we had an answer to that question as well.
Probably we would approve slightly more in case we have to infill the space between the sidewalk and the hardscape. So it might be another $1,000 or something to put the pavers in and whatever the heck else. But
so I would leave it to the selectmen to attribute blame. The Board of Finance is stuck with the bill, and we need to decide where that money comes from. What is the suggestion of the Board of Selectmen? Where the money comes from?
I think we would want to make it, say, $12,000 instead of the 11 to create a reserve to create this infill between where it stops and where it needs to go. And then we'll take it out of that fund that Nicole talked about from the town clerk.
Okay?
Well, we haven't voted on $12,000. We voted on 11.
We didn't vote on any.
Oh,
Board of Selectmen, I'm sorry.
I think as we think it through, there's going to be a requirement for a little more.
I think that it's not going to be $2,000, and I think there's a lot of other cases that we have to do it. We'll have to put it in a meeting as a special.
We have a bill right now for $11,000. Is that correct?
How much is it?
$9,900.
So basically 10 grand.
That's
I don't know.
outstanding. Okay, fine. So,
Okay.
So if we approve the 11, that gives you, if needed, a little bit of room.
Right, okay. I thought it was 11,000.
Okay, and then we'll see what happens with future projects.
okay,
Since I made the motion 2 weeks ago, I'll make a motion again for the $11,000 to be taken out of the public building fund to pay this obligation.
I'll second. Oh, good, Grub. Thank you.
all right. Any further discussion?
I mean, I guess my bigger concern here is, I mean, Nicole sent out the bid policies related to a separate issue. It says right on there that it's directly binding upon all town employees, public officers, officials, members of boards, commissions, and agencies, and it was clearly not followed. So I have a problem approving monies that when the process that's laid out there is not followed.
Okay,
Yeah, and
I understand that, but
goes to your vote.
to your point, though, the town ordered this to occur. The vendor should not be hung out to dry.
Yeah, but
I mean-
Kim can withhold her vote for
Absolutely.
whatever reason she wants.
yeah,
And kind of to your point, I agree with you. I don't know that I would use blame, but it's an issue of department heads.
I used responsibility too.
Well, responsibility is better. And this isn't the only time this has occurred.
No, not
But
by any means.
it's the request to the Board of Selectmen to review whatever information and policies are disseminated to the department chairman to try to have everybody adhere to this concept of, sticking to the budget, or
Right.
if you need something else, come back.
And the larger issue that we've had historically, just because I don't think Kim was here for this, was the WPCA, when we had hundreds of thousands of dollars that were incurred outside of the budget process, that there was a real issue for. So and that's an extreme example, and that was probably 9 or 10 years ago, where we had a third party come in, and basically it was like, yep, it's a volunteer town. The conclusion was it was wrong, but it's a volunteer town, so there's no attribution of blame. But to your point, it needs to be a discipline that is ascribed to by folks who are the leaders of whatever their group is. So,
Well, and last month we did ask that Mr. Dunn come to our meeting to discuss it. I don't see Mr. Dunn here tonight. He wasn't here I know the department head was here for the Park and Rec budget, and Don obviously owns that, but Don Bugby, the department head, wasn't part of this. He was as much surprised, I think, as we were that this occurred. I find it odd. It'd be like you as chairman of the Board of Finance going and spending money without the Board of Selectmen being aware of it and not being approved by the Board of Finance.
well, we have a mea culpa there in terms of the annual report, but okay.
Okay.
To the tune of $800.
Oh, well, but it was budgeted. This was not a line.
Yeah.
This item was not budgeted.
That was nowhere in the
It was
budget.
not on our radar screen.
Yeah.
I mean, it says right in the bidding process that as an incidental purchase, purchases may be made by department heads, the first selectman, or the finance director. Those are the only people who can make those purchases.
Yeah, again, I leave that with the Board of Selectmen. I was fortunately very involved in the drafting of that thing. But getting people to adhere to it is another thing. So let's observe it, but 100% compliance is the goal, and people do need to be made aware of it, and 2 strikes and you're out is a good general rule. So, all right, so we have a motion on the table. We have a second. Is there any further discussion about the approval of using $11,000 in the building? I'm looking at the minutes.
Public Building Fund.
Public building.
I'll go-
Public building fund, separate and
building
apart
fund.
from the building fund, yeah,
Correct.
for the
And that
payment of
comes, as
the,
Tim stated, it's funded by fees collected by the town clerk.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
A.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Yeah,
I just think it's, to have it masked under ADA when it has nothing to do with ADA, and it had nothing to do with the project itself, when that tries to be the justification, I really have a problem with that.
Kim, I think it would be.
And that's, again, Board of Selectmen to deal with, but
Now there's gonna be
It is the
further
Board of
costs
Selectmen
to
because
make
this
it
is
right.
like, it's like 6 degrees of separation when it gets to the
Yep.
Board of Finance.
Yep.
And so
No,
when I
but I
hear
just-
that Bill said to do it, all of a sudden,
Wow.
that's,
Should have been.
so,
I mean,
Anyway.
there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and this went on over a couple of many years. So I think by the time it all got to where this sidewalk was put in, there was just, I think, a lot of information. They should have come back, honestly,
It-
at some point and really asked for something
it
different.
had nothing to do
Right.
to fulfill the project.
Yeah.
And fulfill the need to get the grant
Yep.
money.
Yep.
It's just,
really should have
it's
come
wrong.
back.
but there are those who have different experiences and ADA is their life,
Yep.
right?
But
Et cetera.
it's not a question of, if it was legally required, then we had to do it. That's not the issue. The issue is whether whoever had the signatory authority over authorizing the expenditure exercised that authority appropriately.
But if somebody talks to Phil, to use a name, and the head of facilities for the town says, we need to do this, like you're a volunteer somewhere, and I'm not defending anybody because I am, again, 6 degrees separated, so I really don't want to have a conversation of attribution of what happened here. It is a small event that needs to get paid for and shouldn't happen again. And so if we can agree on that, we can move forward, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the point. And if it is the department chairs or the commission chairs that have the authority to sign off on the expenditure of their budgets, then they've got to, exercise that prudently.
Yeah, I agree. And there are way too many examples existing today of folks never checking their budgets, including me with $800. But I have an explanation. So, no, but seriously, to material amounts where people just assume that someone will find the money because it's $5,000 or whatever it is, and that's not a good instinct to have. So,
Hey, Matt Ward here. Can I just add one thing? I'm sorry.
sure.
We did express to him, Mr. Dunn, at the meeting that this cannot happen again, and everything needs to come to us before any work is done going forward. So hopefully that message was taken to heart, and hopefully it won't happen again.
All right, thank you for that. Okay. Back to regular order.
We do have fire here, so if you want.
So should we move that up? Mr. Garvin?
Item.
What's that? Second item? You want to move fire services up, or?
No, you're looking at me?
Yeah.
Okay, we were supposed to have a meeting with fire last night, and they canceled because 4 to 6 of the members that report or do reporting were going to be absent, and it was hard to even get a meeting last night.
Yeah.
So we don't need to move it up. Always asking
So,
if.
right, and
We have not met with them yet.
Okay,
So I think we'd like to push it off 2 weeks.
okay. Should we go back to super regular order then, Lime Senior Center?
Sure.
So, Andy, 2 weeks, Grub Fire Services?
correct.
Yep.
All right.
It's going to be a busy night.
Yeah, that's going to be a busy night. All right, Lime Senior Center.
Yep. So Jude and I met with Stephanie, at Senior Center, and I mean her budget has not changed all of that much from year over year. So she did, there are changes in the wages for the part-time administrator. No, I think that's just her. Office supplies, she added Zoom fees and newsletter publication fees that were originally taken out of the program budget, but it was, Jude and I had suggested to her last year that that should be moved into the budget line for office supplies. Postage, she increased postage just because of increased rates. Electricity, same thing. Maintenance was increased because of putting off certain routine maintenance, waiting for the renovation project in the next year or two, but they went over a little bit, so they moved that up a little bit. They decreased the heating cost because last year they came in under budget there and they switched from oil to propane, so that got decreased. We did talk with her about, Jude, was the computer under capital?
She wasn't sure where to put it, guys, and they're still having problems. They have 5 computers that are approximately 7 years old. I'm not sure she put it in any. She just gave us an estimate from CTCOM.
I don't think she's requested it.
And she's hoping to get 1, if not 2, new computers for senior center use. And I said that we would present this and ask you to consider it.
So if I could ask Andy to just make a note and see whether there's any tech requests in the capital side.
Up there from Connecticut Computing. It's part of the package, right?
Though those were the 5 computers that they had that became dysfunctional. That CT computers upgraded with added memory to them, cleaned them out, and last I knew, they were functional for the uses needed at the senior center.
Well, the impression I got was that maybe all 5 had not been done, and that, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 may be functioning well and the other 3 are still limping along.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's also anticipating just needing to replace those and hopefully getting them on some sort of replacement schedule. So she's asking for 2.
I think they get a lot of use, especially with the amount of people using the senior center. I'm not saying that justifies it, but it sounds like this has been a continuing problem of either repair, upgrading, updating. And if these are 5 laptops that are 7 years old,
yeah, no,
There are 5 at the senior center.
They received a grant from the Education Foundation, the Lime O' Lime Education Foundation. They applied for a grant and received those 5 computers there.
Right.
They're used for different purposes, and I think, as we know...
Are they public use as well?
Yes.
Some are.
They are predominantly public use, which is
Yep.
another issue if we get CT Computer involved because of security issues, and they just can't let a rogue device onto the town network.
Right, yeah.
So that increases the price tag. And when you have multiple people using a computer, that tends to cause more issues.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, if you're on your laptop, you take care of it, whereas who knows where these seniors are surfing.
I hope there's a filter on it.
You know?
I mean, it seems to be, she had a budget, I think, of around 5,000 worked out for 1 computer and was thinking 2 would be likely less. I could have that wrong, Jude.
That's a lot.
It's 2,700 was the estimate she has for 1. But the other thing is there a way that we can have 1, 2, or 3 laptops that are not tied to the town website, that are used purely as a tool for these people to do their Medicare research or file their claims? Like almost like the kindergarten student, that there's a few for use by the students that are not connected to the district, something like that.
Well,
something that's
because it would all be going through the town's internet connection. Whether it's, that's, you know, if they need to
That's
get
the
online to do
problem.
research for something, they've got to be buttoned up so that they're not going to let something into the system.
Right.
But I'm looking at the IT budget, the capital fund.
Mm-hmm.
There's no request in it for any senior citizen computers. So I think
Okay.
if this is a request, she should get it
Okay.
in soon, as opposed to like last year, it was May, 2
get
weeks
it.
before we voted on the budget, that she brought this issue to our attention.
Andy, can we get intel on how much we spent to upgrade these things? I mean, if they're upgraded and we're gonna just chuck them.
Well, I wouldn't just chuck them. I can find out
No.
from Tom at CT Comp what he feels the status is.
Yeah.
They did the work, the labor for free. We paid for the RAM. You know, they worked with us on this because
So
it
they
would have
scrubbed
cost.
the computer and put in additional RAM.
Correct.
That's what they did, yeah.
Okay.
And yes, they are 7-year-old computers, but they are running Windows 10. They're up to date
Fine.
on that. Again, these are not, it's not like it's a computer that Nicole or somebody is using to do high-level
Yeah.
functions. It is to do research on the web. I mean, maybe we should just have Chromebooks. Again, if they will meet the security needs of CT Comp to be on our network. You know, I can certainly, we had an IT meeting, Pat, this past Friday that got canceled. I think we have one this Friday.
But $600 versus
Yeah, Chromebooks.
That's right.
$2,700.
Well,
So maybe,
again-
maybe it's something that we need to encourage Stephanie to have a larger discussion about what the need
What do you
actually
need?
is.
And she has to get some sort of request in, because right now there's
Yeah.
nothing in the capital budget that I can see
Yeah,
for,
that's a great idea.
Senior
The
center.
Chromebooks, yeah.
but, you know, again,
There was
to
nothing-
your point, it depends on the use. What do they need them for?
Okay, she
Jude?
did not, yeah,
Yep,
she did not, all she gave me was a one-page estimate for one computer. So, and this, she did acknowledge that she has not submitted a request. She doesn't even know if she has an opportunity here. And I said, Kim and I said we would bring it up at our meeting. So
Okay.
she should contact IT.
She should
Mark?
probably push it through Nicole.
Okay.
Come through, I mean, Nicole is the one that asks for budget requests.
Okay,
For-
that sounds
Operating and capital budgets, she asked for that last October, that
right.
where the request should go through, not directly to IT, because IT is not going to put it on the spreadsheet, capital.
yeah.
Then I will.
That would be my recommendation. I mean, I'll go to our next IT meeting, I'll bring it up there as an item that, what do you suggest? And Tom from CT Comp knows the senior center, but we
Okay.
would be helpful to know the uses that they anticipate needing these laptops for.
Okay, I will have a conversation with her. Thank you, Andy.
Martha?
I think the library has a way of, the computers that are available to public use are certainly not directed through into their system.
They've been doing
There's
it for
gotta
a
be
long time.
There's
yeah.
got to be a way to do it, you're right, as
Yeah.
a guest
Right.
that only has access to certain things. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think we need to know what the uses are. You know, does it go from the public use, then some staff member uses it for something?
So,
Got it.
I'm sorry, BJ.
Well, when we're done with this, I have a couple of questions on the budget.
Yeah, so let's go back to the operating budget, because I think that's simple to kind of handle.
Okay, sounds good.
On the operating budget, I'm on the line for senior center wages, part-time administrator. And I see that the budget has gone down this year, or next year, by $1,155. I thought that our expense for the part-time administrator was going up.
Yeah, so I have, this is from the note from Stephanie, that senior center wages, 22 an hour times 25 hours a week, which is their current wages and current hours, which I guess was not budgeted last year, but we approved increasing it,
Well,
or Tim approved.
where's our salary sheet?
Came in August or something.
Yeah, because this is from November too, what we're
Yeah,
looking
right.
at in our book. And
Right.
so the salary sheet, let me just look and see if I got it. It's the most up to date.
So she has the part-time, which is not what's in our book, the part-time wages at $28,600.
At $28,000?
$28,600.
So that's
That's
twice.
nothing.
Yeah.
Item 6.
28.
Oh, yeah, you're
Upside
right.
down. I haven't found it yet. Still looking.
So
Six.
it's upside down, yeah.
So one of the last items on the last page. Total for salary.
Page 12.
Yeah, 76,061. But that, I have a circle by the hours, which I think there's where the issue is. The approved hours in the current year budget for the assistant were 624. I thought that's what we increased. I thought we increased the hours, but I did not write down a number.
I have 13, I wrote down 1,300.
Yeah,
1,300 hours?
Yep, and then I have 28,142.
which makes sense.
So your salary on that line would be 28,142?
Yep, that's what I have from whenever we talked about that.
28,142.
1,300 hours.
So,
For the assistant to the senior center director,
Right.
right?
which should be an
What is
increase.
that in hours?
It's 1,300 hours times,
Divided by 50?
22.55 an hour.
Well, no,
Or
the
not.
number of hours per week.
Oh, 25?
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, because it was 12.
Yep.
Isn't it 29,315?
1,300 hours times,
2255.
$29,315.
That's what Tim said.
Yeah.
what do you got, 29?
9,315.
315. All right. So, that difference, what do you got? To the 382, it's another 15 grand, what, $200, so let's see, 15. $15,244. 71. I get 398,137.
No.
That's,
No,
we need to add that
Line
number,
above.
149, 141.
It should be 164,388.
Oh,
That's a total of all
you're right.
social services and everything else.
But before we total it, I have a couple of other questions.
Good, BJ.
Yeah, the next one, it's a small number, but office supplies are doubling, more than doubling in terms of actual,
Yeah.
going from budget of 1,400, 1,300, up to 2,800. I'm just curious.
Right.
Categorize something?
Yeah, so there was Zoom
Exactly.
fees, newsletter publication fees.
Okay.
They're now getting wrapped into that.
Yep.
Finally, electricity
Yeah.
is going up by 50% of, almost 50%. And that may be okay. I just don't remember how the new electric rate, is it a 50% increase?
Yeah, well,
It's a bunch, whatever it is.
I think it's like 47 or 48% was the quote from the electric company. Yeah,
Make
starting
them
January.
go down.
I'll try. Yeah.
Go down.
Yeah.
All right, so the,
And also to remember, the kitchen was off for 2 years. He was in the oven.
oh, very, very good point. Yeah, we've got
The oven,
COVID in a
propane, or
very
they,
active
electric?
environment here,
Right.
so for 2 years, like looking back, we've got to actually look back.
If they start construction, it ain't not going to be much electricity.
Oh, there would be a lot, though. The guys with their saws and everything else?
Battery
yeah.
powered.
Nah.
Heating it.
Well,
So-
we don't spend it, we keep it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It'll be cold, but yeah. So the figure I have is 164,385, if somebody else has that.
1, 4, 3, 8, 5.
Gee, excuse yourself.
Does anyone else have any math?
That's the same.
Okay, I did that by hand, so I'm just confirming. So, all right. So I'll entertain a motion for 164,385 for senior center.
That's correct.
So moved.
Is there any
second.
discussion?
Oh.
Okay. Any discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor for senior center 164,385, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Fire services pushed to 314. Social service department. Kimberly.
So I've reached out to social services. Their budget really is minimal outside of salary. Some money for mileage, postage, $500 for miscellaneous.
Nothing funky.
And it's going down.
Yeah.
It's going down, yeah.
Are the wages going down because the hours are going
New
down?
hire.
Hourly.
New Gen Datum was social services.
And are we now paying at a lower hourly rate or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll make a motion for the 20,281 for social services.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? 20,281 for social services. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Yeah.
Randy Frank's study comes back, you may have to make some changes, yes, that's still understandable.
We've got time. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, especially if it's material or not material, yeah, we want to be fair to everybody, so, yeah. All right, social service agencies, there are many, but I think we can bunker with most of these, yeah.
That one went up $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So if everyone can kind of run through and take a look, obviously there is a tiny increase, but if there are any questions about or reminders needed about what the grants are for, please ask questions.
ARC New London.
Yeah.
What's that?
ARC, they cover all of, it's not just New London anymore. They took over Wyndham County as well. They offer services to disabled adults. They make cookies. They have all kinds of Yeah, very good. I'm just, they're asking to go from $750 to $1,750. If all our agencies came in with that kind of increase, it'd be a significant number. I don't know if they gave any backup as to why they wanted that increase.
And I think my recollection is that they do have folks from the whole purpose of funding these groups is they have some connection to Old Lyme.
Well, but that's a startling increase, so.
It's a wonderful.
Absent the increase,
It's a wonderful agency.
Yep.
I share Andy's question as to where these numbers come from, right? I have no quarrel with giving $1,700 to them, but and is there an answer to that? Does anybody know?
There's no
whether
backup
they gave
here.
us any explanation?
They're also about a $7 million agency.
Yeah, it's a big agency.
When they merged with Wyndham County, they do great work, and they have a lot of great programs, but all these organizations do great work and have good programs.
Most of them send in information.
Yeah.
All the figures.
Is it possible that they sent in information that didn't get to us?
I don't know.
I don't think in a $7 million organization, like 1750 would be great. But if there's an inclination that that's a huge increase over what we typically give, we can give an increase of 0 to 1750.
Yeah, I think it's more a process question. You know, it's just a little uncomfortable for the Board of Finance to approve something without understanding why.
Yeah.
And so maybe we should go back to them and ask why.
Can we
Look
task?
around and see if there's information on it that Nicole.
Or just give them a call. Yeah, because Nicole didn't
She's good
come up
about-
with that herself.
Yeah, no, she's good about putting any backup in the book. I mean,
Yeah.
This she would.
Well, this is an easy line item to push off too. If we can just ask Tim if you and Martha and Matt can inquire about any correspondence that we could see.
We'll check it
Because
out.
again, to BJ's procedural point, it's not good practice to just be like, oh yeah, that's fine. Because there could be a line item for JDK in there.
I mean, every other organization could see that and say, all right, well, let's double our request next year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're talking, going from 7,200 to 14,000.
My inclination is perhaps this is just a typo or an error to be consistently 750 a year, and then suddenly there's a 1 in front of it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe, but let's push it to next week.
Good.
Okay.
And then someone really should reach out just for clarification.
Which
Yeah.
ones would you like us to make sure that we get verification?
Social Services, Arc of New London.
Arkham, New London County. That's the one going from 750 to 1750.
I mean, maybe Jude's right. Maybe they just wanted a total of 1,000 as opposed to 17. But who knows?
Or
Yeah,
they just, to all the towns, they sent out a $1,000 increase, hoping to get
See what they.
an extra $30,000 in their budget.
Okay.
Well, we don't even know if a request was submitted to us. It
We'll
could just
research.
be. We'll find out.
Yeah. All right. Visiting nurse.
I met with,
Outrageous decrease.
well, first of all, I met with Sarah Gleason and Cynthia Taylor, who submitted their budget. And one of the points they wanted to make is they are not just for senior centers or senior services. They cover the entire town from birth to death. So with that said, they've been trying to be proactive about getting out there with education and being seen and be more visible around town. The major reason why they have a reduced budget of $7,000 is for 2 years now they have applied to the Kitching Foundation for a grant, and it's been approved in the amount of $10,000. Well, that's helpful. However, they have increased expenditures when it comes to scholarships, outreach to younger folks through LYFC in the schools. What else is on here as an increase? An increase in salaries of $1,550. But I don't think there's anything in here that says we should not give them the requested amount of $65,000.
Yeah, it's been 72 forever, so yeah.
Yeah. And if it continues, then they will continue to reduce the budget.
Okay.
If you have any questions,
Kitchen
Yeah, feel free.
Foundation to get that grant.
Yeah. So I will entertain a motion for the $65,000 for Old Lyme Visiting Nurse Association.
So moved.
so moved.
Second, Jude.
Yep, second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Great. Another potentially perfunctory one, Estuary Transit Center. We got the letter. That's the only letter that we have in our book there. It's a 3% increase, it looks like.
I'm on that. I'm the representative from the town on that, and the Board of Finance can speak to reps too. But obviously, there's been the merger between the Estuary Transit District, which was down here in the Shoreline, and the Middletown Transit Authority. So that's all one now, and it's going to be named River Valley Transit. One name and new vote. So obviously, drivers been a challenge to keep the drivers, and then the fuel. So they do get 10-to-1 grants from the state and federal to reduce the community's commitment to this. So, and of course, right now there's a zero fare that goes through the end of March that talked about to be extended even some more, which is really terrific during COVID and so forth. And they get a lot of happy notes about that from people. So it's a 3% increase.
Okay. Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion for the 17,195.
Garvin.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Great stuff. Estuary Services.
Kim, do you know more about this than myself or Kim does? All I have is a letter from them for $15,311 from the town of Old Lyme.
I'm sorry, Jude, what was the amount was that a request from us?
On the back
It's a
side of.
request.
Oh, right at the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So how do we get to?
It's in our book.
Nicole had the number.
Yeah, right. She put in last year's number as a placeholder, probably. So Jude, is your understanding, and Kim, is your understanding that it's the 15,311 is what they're looking for?
This is what Nicole sent to us, so that's
Right.
that's all we need, the information you have.
That's pretty
I mean, that's down from.
Very kind of them.
But I don't understand why the number is so different than what is in the book from Nicole. Are we missing something here, Tim, that you know of?
It's not only what's in the book, but it's also what has been requested and spent in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It could be COVID fund related. They may be asking for what they need as opposed to, if they've received funds in the past or they've just recently received funds. So, and next year it could be 24 grand again. Who knows?
I mean, this number seems to be solely based on number of meals served.
Yeah, the back, it looks like that 15,311 is just the nutrition line item.
Right.
That these other, the 3,000 and 790 are potentially the other.
Wait a minute.
Although,
so 15,31058, right?
Which they
Is
rounded
that what you're
to
looking at?
311, yeah.
And then,
It's
and then the
just the
3,000 is 18 grand, and then the estuary overhead.
Right.
but what about
Each item.
what about the 15,003? I know we're talking rounding, but what about the 15,310.58 for homebound meals and congregate meals?
But that's rounded.
But I think that's different.
They missed this 3 grand and the 800 is what Kevin's saying.
Is it?
Right.
And then I think they rounded to 15.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Right.
So I think it looks like, again, in the absence of someone telling us, it looks like it's 19 grand that they're looking for roughly.
Which looks a lot different than the 15, of course.
Yeah. I mean, is this something we should ask for?
Clarification.
know, they did send a letter.
Yeah, I just can't.
I think they messed up, though. I mean, on the front, they're
the way they're
asking for
wording.
15,311, but then you go in the back, I don't want to short them if they're
Right.
looking for...
Do we want to,
Certainly, I mean, that
See, what
about the 15,311
Here.
doesn't make sense.
The other two
Right.
being in there.
and they're saying their meal cost, they're serving more meals every week, so their costs are going up.
Let's get more information.
Yeah, but
Okay.
overall, going down. Yeah, okay.
I can find out or I can call for clarification on.
Scary part is
Yeah, if you can just make a phone call.
year-to-date
Jude or
is already at the
Kimberly can do
24.
it.
Correct.
Is that-
The year-to-date is already at 24,000 in
Out of
November.
November, so
Exactly.
again, that this would be going down is not
Really,
realistic.
Again, absent like some
Big
drop of
grant or
cash
something,
whatever,
right,
yeah.
That's what I think.
Right, that there might, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll push that off. Push. It's better than last year in terms of pushing things.
Please, once we have an answer.
as of February 3rd, which is our last financials from Nicole, that number was still 23,765 spent year-to-date. So I don't know whether...
Well, maybe we gave it
up
in one
front.
chunk. Yeah,
Yes, early on.
I bet that's what we did.
But still, it's still a $4,000
Yeah.
Yeah.
drop.
And that's more consistent with prior years, and I don't know how the COVID epidemic affected expenses up or down.
And a lot of this funding for COVID, was delayed. So, yeah. So, that. Community Zen. Sanitation. Wah, wah, wah.
I've got a meeting with them on Friday to talk about the contract renewal.
Yeah.
Contract expires in June.
If we could just keep that,
Because we
try
gotta,
that one more week, hopefully.
yeah. We'll get a rough idea from our current guys, but this is a big,
Well, this would be CWPM, the 4-year contract taking the trash from the house to the, used to be Mira facility, now it's New London. That's the thing that needs to be, we have an option to go 4 more years. So hopefully we can do some negotiating and get a favorable rate for that.
An option at a fixed price,
Yeah.
at the current price, or with a modest
Well,
inflation?
it's been going up 3% a year. So we might try to maintain that or maybe, do a little
Oh,
bit.
but I mean, that's excellent that we can at least rely on no more than 3% a year.
Hopefully.
but
Inflation.
it is a contract, so it is what it says. And so I think
Well,
BJ's question is,
The rate is
saying
not.
in terms of the rate, right?
No, what I'm understanding is that it expires in June, but we have an option to renew for 4 more years
That's right.
at a maximum increase of 3% a year.
Well,
That's what I say. The contract is
That's what we're hoping.
it has
Contract
been,
doesn't-
it has been 3%. The new rate is not established in the contract.
We have an option to renew without a price for renewal?
It's going to be, I don't think that's unusual after 4
Well,
years.
it doesn't do you any good to have an
Right.
option to renew without a dollar.
Well, we'll make that point, but
We should push this, and, it's a
Yeah.
big number, so
Yes.
it's something that needs to
Yeah.
fall in the category
Yeah.
of talk to others as well. Now, they gave us an unbelievable price 4 years ago,
And they've done a good job.
and they've done, well, my only experience is my personal experience.
Oh, mine too.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's empty every Friday.
Yeah. That's the measure of the garbage
They were there
contractor.
today, you wanted to that they wouldn't be.
They did
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we'll push this until next week, Tim?
Yep.
Yep.
There's one other item that we might talk about, which is the Senior Center Building Committee, up under number 2.
Yeah.
As we know, we have a bill for the air quality, which is a portion of the work that they need to do to determine what bad stuff might be in the building. They didn't do some invasive tests such as get under the exterior shingles, get under the carpeting. So there are 2 or 3 things that they need to do to finish that up, which would probably be about a similar number as to what we have on the books right now. In talking with Jerry, we have nothing really available for this stuff right now because the money that the town put in and the money that the seniors put in was given to Point One Architects. So as things might happen between now and July 1, if we do something, we have to come back each time. So I don't know
whether it's big or small.
Pleasure to say, look, this testing might get us to maybe $2,500, and then who knows what other stuff might come along. Certainly, other than the architects, there shouldn't be a lot of stuff, but it's hard to say. So,
the architects are covered, though.
Yeah.
So this is outside of what's been approved, and I think it was like a $1,500 bill or something.
Well, it's $1,235 was the first.
$1,235 was the air quality.
Right, but there'll be a similar amount probably for this next 3 tests that they have to do because it's a little more invasive, and they might have to come at a time when the people aren't in there. But then who knows what might happen. I don't know if there might be any legal or just stuff that happens. So if you appropriate a certain amount of money somewhere, if we need more, then it goes to a town meeting for the second appropriation for the same purpose. So it's very difficult to say what would be a comfortable amount to get us between now and July. Even as we do the budget, we're going to have to figure out what do we want to put in the budget. Now, you can put it in the referendum, extra soft costs and things of that sort, but I'm just thinking of the short term, March through June.
So did Lyme have, because we talked with Dave and with Alan.
Right.
Did they have any further thoughts on it at all? Now, these are small costs to get us to June 30th for the senior center to advance their studies and that sort of thing. So,
well, if we try to get this framed up for a May time frame, or well, maybe actually probably below that, maybe June, July, there might be costs associated with getting a referendum set up. If it's after July 1, you wouldn't have, it could be loaded in the next budget. So it's kind of hard to figure what might be enough to get us through, but not too much, and so forth. But we have probably about 2,500 we're looking at short term. And, we said, say, like $10,000 or something, would that be enough? Is that too much? If you don't use it, you don't use it. But my concern is if something comes that's a bit expensive, then...
Meaning we use it out of the general fund, but if it's $2,500 instead of $10,000, it just, the $7,500, it's not like extra tax like we would do for the budget process, right? So
yeah,
it's money that is...
It would stay in surplus.
And
it wasn't used.
And so, did Jerry come back to you at all, Jerry Baker, with any of her additional ideas of things?
She doesn't really. She's not aware of anything specific at this juncture. If they want to, if they don't need to commit to space where the programs and stuff might go, because that wouldn't happen till the demo starts, which will be probably minimum late fall, maybe after the new year. Storage of furniture, fixtures and so forth, that'll be another thing. Probably not till.
But that's next fiscal year, yeah.
Yeah.
Next fiscal year.
Yeah. So I think everybody's a little foggy on what might come along.
Except when $1,200 shows up. And,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of where to put it,
building fund?
If it's for the building.
Well, if they're doing,
you know, if they pay a lawyer or something, that might.
Well,
we could probably think about it over another week, and
why don't you come with a discrete ask of the Board of Finance, right? Dollar amount and where it's going to come from, and then I think you've set the table in terms of the need potentially.
Yeah.
And we'll push it for another week if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, minutes. Valentine's Day minutes.
Number 7, it says, there was a discussion about the process in this ledger. Stated that when Mr. Matter was first select woman, it should be Ms.
Well, on page 4, at least according to my notes, and I could be wrong, but at the bottom of single stream recycling, we have the note 135,300. I think it was just 135 even, according to what I wrote in
I have 135 even.
Even?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just that 300 shouldn't be there.
Okay.
I'm just reading the last paragraph.
Yep.
And it accurately captures the kerfuffle at the end of the meeting with Nicole. And I'm sorry that it does with the last sentence. I don't think that's germane to the workings of the Board of Finance. And I could suggest that it be stricken from the minutes, but it won't go away. It'll just be that the next board meeting minutes will say strike those 2 sentences. It won't do any good. My only point is that
that's true.
What's available to the public, I don't think that's.
It's recorded, so
I mean,
I'm
there's nothing we
agnostic.
can do about it at this point. It's here.
I'm agnostic about it. So personally, not that I'm going to vote, but yeah.
I don't know, if I was listening to the minutes and I heard that at the end, I would wonder what that was all about.
Yeah.
So I think this gives a pretty accurate description without getting into opinion. It's more like a statement, maybe.
I think I would offer for consideration, everyone present was shocked by her conduct and the discussion was closed. Minutes should reflect not people's emotion, but they should reflect what happened. And so perhaps it's the discussion was closed as opposed to
Shocked.
attribution of.
Well, my point, David, is that there's nothing we can do to take these words out of these minutes, right? So the reader of the minutes is going to see these. They have to go to next month's minutes to see any change.
No, I get that, but I still think the effort is probably worth it just to remain true to the concept of minutes. And your point is well taken, so. Would you like to suggest that revision on top of?
No, I don't have any. I just wanted to make a comment, having observed it. I don't have any recommended revisions to the minutes.
So the revisions to the minutes are correction for Ms. Ream-Snyder and then 153.
135.
135 as opposed to the 135-300.
Just where was the Mrs. Ream-Snyder?
That was
On page 7.
in
On
that
page
same
7.
paragraph.
Mine says Mrs. Ream-Snyder.
No, up here. Mine says,
It's like the
find it now, I
line
saw
or
it,
six.
right there.
Oh. Why does mine say Mrs.?
Did
In
you
the same
print yours
place.
out online?
No,
I got mine here.
I got mine here. Mine says Mrs.
Okay.
Mine says Mrs.
Mine says Mr.
You got the revised copy.
That's right there.
Well,
I mean, I'm not
it's
reading.
MRS,
Right here.
and I thought you just wanted MS.
Yeah, that's what I thought in the conversation about Miss versus.
No, mine says actual Mr.
Mine says Mr.
So with that,
Grub
With
says
that.
Mrs.
yeah.
I'll entertain a motion
Kind of thing, Ms. versus Mrs.
for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
That was not what.
Is there a second for the approval of the minutes? Any further discussion or clarifications, et cetera? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
I abstain, Dave. I do not have them.
Thank you. One abstention. The motion carries. Great. Thank you. Other business we've taken care of?
Could I just
Yeah.
ask a question kind of under business, and it's
Yeah.
really directed to the Board of Selectmen. Under the capital budget, I'm wearing my hat of the IT committee. There are a number of requests here that I don't think the IT committee or the Board of Finance should be making the decision on as to where we are in needing these things. And the three items that we as the IT committee have questioned are surveillance cameras for Town Hall, surveillance cameras for Haynes Park. I know these are all requests and those things should be considered, but I think we'd be looking, IT committee and maybe the Board of Finance is looking for input as to what's driving these and are they completely necessary. I mean, the Town Hall number is a little deceiving because it says basically 39,000, but that's a combination of surveillance and access to the doors. So again, it's the surveillance part, because that's the part that falls under IT. The access part really doesn't.
Unless it's like a fob or something.
Unless it's a fob, and it would, yeah, and it would, but
Yeah.
I kind of see those as two different items, and those were things that Phil started. And number one, I think CT Comp has relooked at it, and the number is still good to do the project. But it's just, do we need this now? And we probably do. Are the doors that are going to be replaced, that have been budgeted for, are the doors going to be replaced so this stuff can happen? That number is, I think it was I think that's in carryover, to be honest with you.
Well, the actual doors
The
themselves.
physical doors
The doors are, yeah.
in carryover, because that's part of that project.
Around 30, I think.
Yeah. So, it's you're talking $60,000, $70,000, but let's just make sure we need all the components. And the Haynes Park thing, really, I know Mr. Dunn wants to protect the pavilion that's going to go there. But I don't even know, I guess the pavilion is probably a lot more than $15,000. But you look at $15,000 worth of cameras. I think we did establish that the Comcast would install the internet at essentially no charge to install, but there obviously would be fees ongoing, and the whole idea of open wireless for people at the beach is kind of, again, that's a town decision. So we don't get into these things down the road of, well, somebody just went off and did it.
I think there was some discussion too that by combining the senior center and King Park at the same time.
No, I think Town Woods Park we would. Senior.
Townwood Senior Center,
Yeah.
Park and Haynes all at the same time.
With the video surveillance?
That there would be, because of proximity to wiring. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well,
I mean, from Comcast?
I think Townwood's in the senior center.
Yeah.
But if the senior center is under construction,
Right.
you're not going to put up.
Well, and that's pushed out, the senior center surveillance is pushed out to 2024-5. That's $51,000.
But that may
And
be part
and
of
then
the
Town-
project, who knows?
And then Town Woods is in that same column, 2025 for another $20,000. So I don't know, maybe there is savings for Haynes Park doing it at the, so then that should be pushed out to when we're ready to do the senior center.
So maybe we could, Kim, maybe we could invite Tom to come to Board of Selectmen on Monday so that we could talk about it as a whole on the project. And
Yeah, that'd be great.
line it up.
It's coordinated and do it right. I mean, Matt and I went to Chester and one thing we learned from that is make sure whatever you do, use the same technology in all the locations. So whoever needs access to whatever, police department needs access to everything, they can have it in one place and not have to change apps or whatever.
Was there a particular type of camera or that they suggested?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's honestly the same as they're using in Chester, is what CT Comp did that project, and that's what they're recommending. There are others out there, but they were selling us on the reason for this particular product. And it's widely used, and it's, as I think I said at the last meeting.
TikTok friendly?
TikTok friendly. Not controlled by TikTok like the cameras that are at the senior center now that are made in China that are not compliant.
Andy, the police department, they're doing these side windows and stuff to make that bulletproof. That's another place.
Well, that's in this year's budget, Tim.
Oh.
And by surveillance and access at the police department.
This current year's budget.
Is in the current year budget.
Yeah.
And the IT committee recommended to Tom that he recommend to you that move forward as our first video surveillance project so we get a feel for it, using the technology that is recommended for these other locations. It's budgeted now, and honestly, it was the opinion of the IT committee that the police department is probably the most important place to have some surveillance around, particularly where we have officers that are on duty by themselves at night and, coming in and out of there.
And a secretary who sometimes will go there as well.
So, we kind of felt you have a very remote location. So, I think that was something that was moving along.
Can we put that on the list?
Yeah, we can get Tom first.
Yeah. Just trying to avoid issues like we had with some other projects.
And don't spend $15,000 on a $20,000
Sidewalk.
pavilion.
Okay.
$15,000 for surveillance of a $20,000.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of my point too. And the monthly recurring costs of maintenance and internet service. And again, I think in public places, does the town want to provide wireless internet service to the public? I mean, that's part of this proposal is got to give the people sitting at the beach and at the playground wireless access on the town.
Yeah,
Your cell phone tower right there, Boughton Road.
The question is, why should we, and how much does it cost? You need answers to both.
And what does it open us? What does it
Up
open
to
it up?
liability.
Open us up to in terms of liability when people are surfing places maybe they shouldn't be on the town
Who knows
side.
where it's headed, BJ, with,
Yeah.
in terms of attribution.
Your phone
See what the
has its
Supreme Court
own-
says.
Yeah,
Connect
yeah,
your
that's true.
tablet.
So, anyway,
Like-
but those are policy issues.
Like 5
Yeah.
years ago, that was a big deal for places that
Because-
outdoor network, that you
Cell phones, we have, from Verizon, we always
don't
have
have
internet
internet
service.
connection. I
You
don't.
don't have
Yeah.
your personal hotspot on and you're.
So, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no problems. All right, so executive session, if I may, is our next item. So with that, Michelle, I'll give you the adjournment time.
Oh, wait, I have.
So do you need a motion
Yeah.
for us to go into executive session?
nope.
No.
Just a
Sorry,
moment.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I should have.
Josh and Matt from Flowgriz and Katie from the library have requested to be on the March 21st agenda as opposed to the March 14th. And I think Jude sent out an email. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was probably, about a week and a half ago, Jude?
I think I sent it to Michelle Hayes and Dave Kelsey.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can they be moved? I just need to get back to Josh and Matt at Flowgriz and Katie.
Yeah, it's.
And the library.
fine.
Okay,
I will just
great.
ask, don't have a dissertation or something.
Yeah, it's quick. They just didn't want to go during the same week of the Board of Ed, so we wanted to push them back.
Well,
And with Katie Huffman, the library has their board meeting the same night, so it makes it difficult for her to make it to both meetings.
so when did they want to go?
The 21st,
Oh,
because right now they're on the 14th. so
Oh, okay.
They wanted to
Okay,
push it back 1 week for.
yep, okay. And the library, right?
Yeah, it's Flowgriz, Josh and Matt, and Katie, they're both on the 21st.
That's LAFA.
Yeah, it's Josh and Matt. So Josh is the new director, and then Matt Streckle.
Okay. Got it. All right. So, with that, any further other business?
No.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for entering into executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
Irvin?
Are you invited in or?
I don't, I think it's fine, but I'm not sure. I don't-
You have to make it in your motion if you're inviting anyone besides the board of
You
finance.
probably have to have a general idea of what the executive session is for, such as
Personnel or-
contracts or.
I don't know, at the Board of Finance, I can't remember that we've ever specified
You're
that.
not. General.
It's allowable.
Well, all I have is executive session, so it's a mystery to me as well, but.
And I thought I had heard somewhere recently that you have to specify the purpose of it. But I don't know if that's true.
And I know we had a request, Ms. Reed requested that we do that at another meeting, because 2 weeks ago, we were going to discuss something, but
Right.
I think you talked about the fact that it may not be
We
our
couldn't,
purview anyway. We couldn't have executive session then.
we
That's why the
couldn't,
request
because it wasn't, yeah.
wasn't on the agenda. The request was made to put it on the agenda, which Michelle did, but there was also subsequent discussion about it may not be anything the Board of Finance should be discussing anyway.
Exactly.
So maybe
Things
there's no need.
have system, so, right.
And Jude, you were the one that,
Okay, so.
well, maybe we
No.
shouldn't even have executive session.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
And I don't think it's properly,
Hey,
I
Serendipity
just said the same thing.
just helped us out,
I
right?
think.
I just said the same thing.
And if it's about personnel, you have to inform personnel
Yeah.
that you'll be talking about them and they have a chance to.
I'll withdraw my motion to put us into executive session.
Motion withdrawn. Excellent. Okay.
Okay.
I
I'll
think
entertain a
Mr. Garvin
motion.
seconded. Does he have to second?
I'd like to withdraw the second.
Well, Can the second survive? But, and then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I don't know, that was a close tie. Yeah.
No, it's what time?
Good stuff. 8:25.
Oh, my God.